The sound of silence. Civilizations rarely collapse with noise. Sometimes they collapse with silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of voices erased, of stories rewritten, of truths buried. In the past, empires burned books to erase knowledge. Dictators censored newspapers to control thought. But in the future, the prophecy of control will not arrive in fire or ink. It will arrive in digital silence, when voices vanish. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that your favorite platforms, the spaces where you laugh, argue, learn, and connect, are gone. Not offline by accident, but banned by design. The screen refreshes, but nothing loads. The conversations of millions vanish overnight. Your voice is no longer silenced because you are afraid to speak. It is silenced because the stage itself has been dismantled. The prophecy of silence begins not when people stop talking, but when the channels of speech are closed. The allure of control. Governments have always feared what they cannot control. In the age of paper, it was pamphlets. In the age of radio, it was broadcasts. In the age of the internet, it is social media. To those in power, information is not just data, it is energy. Whoever controls it controls perception. Whoever controls perception controls reality. And in the digital future, the temptation for governments will be irresistible. Not just to monitor information, but to decide what exists. And what a world without witnesses. Without free information, history itself becomes fragile. Events unfold, but no one beyond the borders can see them. Lives are lost, but no one hears their names. Truth exists, but no longer matters, because only the official story survives. A world without witnesses is a world without accountability. And a world without accountability is a world where anything can happen. The prophecy of the future. This is the prophecy we face, not of floods or fire, but one of silence. A future where governments do not merely rule by laws or armies, but by information itself, where the story of reality is edited, rewritten, deleted at will. And the greatest danger is not that people will resist. The greatest danger is that people will accept. That in exchange for safety, stability, or convenience, they will live in silence. The first weapon of power. From the dawn of civilization, the first weapon has never been the sword. It has always been the story. Pharaohs carved their victories into stone, ensuring their enemies were forgotten. Emperors minted coins with their faces, spreading an image of eternal authority. Kings silenced poets who dared to write of rebellion. Whoever controlled the narrative controlled the future. And history itself is the proof. We do not remember the voices silenced, only the stories allowed to survive. Information as oxygen. Information is not just data, it is oxygen for societies. Without it, trust suffocates. Without it, innovation stalls. Without it, people stop questioning. In free societies, information flows like air, messy, unpredictable, chaotic, but alive. In controlled societies, that air is filtered. Only the clean, curated, acceptable breath is allowed. But filtered oxygen is not freedom. It is slow suffocation. The illusion of truth. Governments that control information do not need to invent new realities. They only need to restrict access to alternatives. If one truth is repeated often enough, it becomes the only truth people know. If every voice of doubt is silenced, certainty feels natural. If the past is edited, the present is unquestionable. The greatest illusion is not forcing people to believe a lie, The greatest illusion is making them believe there is nothing else to believe. The digital amplifier. In the past, controlling information required armies of censors, endless surveillance, the burning of books. But in the digital age, control becomes easier and far more dangerous. Algorithms can amplify one story and bury another. Search engines can decide what exists and what disappears. News feeds can shape reality one swipe at a time. Control is no longer crude. It is precise, silent, and efficient. You do not feel silenced because you are still scrolling, still watching, still consuming. But every choice you see has already been chosen for you. The prophecy of the pen. The old proverb says, "The pen is mightier than the sword." But in the digital age, the algorithm is mightier than both. The prophecy of control is not about armies marching. It is about code running, invisible, silent, and efficient. And in the end, what survives is not what is true, but what is allowed.
The invisible prison. In the past, control was visible. Soldiers in the streets, cameras on the corners, guards at the gates. But in the digital future, the most dangerous prisons will not have walls. They will not need chains. They will exist in the unseen architecture of code. You will not feel imprisoned because you will still scroll, still post, still search. But every word, every image, every question will already have been filtered before reaching you. You will think you are free. In reality, you will be walking through corridors designed for you. The algorithm as censor. Imagine a system where no human decides what to delete. Instead, an artificial intelligence scans every post, every comment, every video in real time. Words deemed unsafe vanish before anyone reads them. Images flagged as sensitive never upload. Questions considered dangerous yield no search results. There is no knock on the door, no book burning, no arrest. The censorship is instant, silent, automated. You don't even realize what has been erased because you never saw it in the first place. This is the new face of control, not brute force, but prevention of possibility. The illusion of choice. The most effective form of control is not forcing people to obey. It is making them believe they are still choosing. You can still search, but the results are curated. You can still speak, but only to those who agree. You can still watch, but only what is allowed. You believe you are free because the cage is decorated with the illusion of variety. But variety is not freedom if every option leads to the same conclusion. The digital gatekeepers. In the future, governments will not need to control every platform directly. They will only need to control the gateways. Internet service providers can block entire networks. App stores can decide which voices are allowed to exist. Digital IDs can verify your right to log in or lock you out completely. With a flick of a switch, millions could lose access to communication, not by accident, but by design. The prophecy of the invisible hand. The prophecy of the future is not of soldiers marching to silence you. It is of invisible algorithms quietly guiding you, of firewalls that feel like safety, of apps that feel like convenience, of choices that feel like freedom until you look closer. And when you finally realize the truth, it will not be because someone told you. It will be because you searched for a truth and found nothing. If this prophecy feels disturbing, don't let it vanish into silence. Like this video now to help spread the warning. Comment your thoughts. Do you believe freedom can die without anyone noticing? And subscribe to Archives of the Future, because the next revelation may be even darker. The morning without freedom. The day freedom dies will not begin with explosions. It will begin with notifications. You reach for your phone, a familiar gesture, but the feed looks different. Voices you followed are gone. Topics you care about no longer appear. A message reads, "Content unavailable in your region." No one tells you that you are silenced. You simply notice that the world has become smaller. And yet you still scroll. You still believe you are free. The disappearance of alternatives. The greatest sign that freedom has died is not the absence of speech, but the absence of alternatives. Every search brings the same answers. Every video repeats the same narrative. Every article agrees with the official line. Choice still exists in form, but not in substance. You can pick between options, but all lead to the same truth. This is not silence by force, it is silence by design. The normalization of silence. The most terrifying aspect of this future is not the censorship itself, it is how quickly people adapt. At first, they whisper, "Did you notice what disappeared?" Later, they shrug, "That's just how things are now." Eventually, they forget that anything ever vanished at all. Freedom dies not when it is stolen, but when it is forgotten. The prophecy of control. This is the prophecy. The death of freedom will not come with armies or chains, but with updates and policies. Each step justified by safety, by stability, by convenience, until one day the world wakes up and realizes that silence has become normal. And once silence becomes normal, freedom is already gone. The last freedom. Freedom does not die all at once. It dies one silence at a time. A book not printed, a story not told, a post not shared. By the time we notice the pattern, the silence has already become the rule. But the prophecy is not destiny, it is a warning. A reminder that the last freedom we hold is not in our devices, not in our governments, not even in our laws. It is in our voice. The fragility of truth. Truth is not immortal. It survives only when spoken, only when shared, only when remembered. If information is oxygen, then silence is suffocation. And in a world where governments control all information, the greatest tragedy is not that truth disappears, it is that people forget it ever existed. The choice before us. The future is not yet written. The systems of control are being built, yes. The tools of censorship are advancing, yes. But in every society, in every generation, the choice remains: to accept silence or to defend the voice. We cannot decide what governments will attempt, but we can decide whether we surrender before they succeed. The closing warning. This was Archives of the Future. If you believe information is freedom, then do not let this warning be erased. Like this video. Tell us in the comments, do you believe freedom can die in silence? And subscribe to the channel, because the next prophecy may not only be about information, it may also be about existence itself. The future is closer than you think. And in the battle between silence and voice, your choice will decide the prophecy.